Champ, I wanted to ask, how do you think the music industry would change their approach to artists now that the NFT wave has started? Do you think this will become the standard for any artists out there?
I think for the artists that want to gain finances, the artists that want to become famous, they're gonna stay going to the traditional route. Yeah,
Right.
the numbers are there. It's like it's no facade. Like if you drop over here in the metaverse, like for example, I bought my Bored Ape March 1st, and I dropped 7 singles since I bought it. And my whole mindset was, how do I monetize off the IP? You get what I'm saying? Like the IP of my Bored Ape. So when you get a Bored Ape, you get to own the IP and the rights. So the first thing I wanted to do was turn him into a musician. And we dropped 7 songs, and over that week, we traded 100 ETH with just the artist. And the Bored Ape cost 99 ETH. So I ended up making my money back that same week. And then, the next week I ended up doing a deal with Cookies, and now I have a cannabis brand where we're using my ape as the IP and the logo. So that just says, like, artists can not only just release their music, but they could buy NFTs and put vocals behind the NFTs and make them, 3D renderings and create videos and cool content, because that's what this space is. It's all about how creative you are.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I agree with that. I like to, go ahead. No, the focus, as you talk about music, I like to our focus is on music, fashion, and film. And how I see this changing the game for artists is everything Champ said, but also how do you use utility in a way where you can connect with your audience directly? So, Snoop Dogg wants to come on and figure out, like, okay, I don't want to have to go through Live Nation to do all my concerts. I don't want them taking 80% of my profits. Eventually, what we want to do is, like, how do we make it easy for Snoop Dogg to maybe start with his super fans, and those folks who own the NFT get special access to performances and things like that, and then build it out where artists like Swiss Beats and others and whoever comes on. And so you don't have to go through Live Nation. All of a sudden, you can make sure that you get 80% of the profits, and it goes back to how you can connect with your fans. How can you give them some type of merch that's connected to this, right? And it can all be through the NFT. You can do that in a way where you don't have to go through a lot of these folks. So we call ourselves Disrupt Art because we're using art to really disrupt these industries that have taken too much control, too much equity from all these talented artists, and making sure that they get a chance to really reap the rewards of the benefits that they have already created. So to me, it's how do we use NFTs to allow fans to have a more direct experience and allow artists to make more money? Artists should make more money. Artists provide value. And there's some people in this space that have this reaction like it's a bad thing for artists to be making a bunch of money. Artists create value. We want to make sure that we're able to use this technology to make sure they're getting as much money in the long term as possible. It's not just about getting $100,000 up front. It's how do we build a fan base to build it so you can build a huge enterprise, because Snoop Dogg, many others have built this, and they deserve the money that they're getting from the career that they put into and for the time they put into their creative craft. They deserve respect.
And you know what else, Rob? Rob? I think the consumers deserve to have more of an incentive to buy the music and to want to experience the music, because for years we've been collecting music that we'll never be able to remix legally. We'll never be able to get a feature on one of our favorite records. You get what I'm saying? So when we dropped music on the blockchain, that was the whole idea. It was, let's drop this song and let's give the buyer the stems and the instrument. So once you buy the song, you essentially own the song. And we encourage you to turn this rap song into an EDM version. And from that point, you get the community to all come in, and now it's a new way to make a mixtape. Instead of you jacking someone's beat and remixing it, you're going to create your own beat and give it to the community in hopes for them to recreate it. And, that'll do the marketing and the promotion for your song, and you get a stronger community because now a lucky fan just got to do a remix on Snoop's verse or got some Jim Jones lyrics, or you get what I'm saying? And I think with that mindset, you keep the consumer willing to buy, because we're getting conscious and more conscious over the years with how we're spending our money and what we're putting our dollars as far as being entertained.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I've often said that NFTs is sort of like the Napster of today, where the whole industry is going to change. And, it looks like it's headed that way. So I wanted to ask Rob, do you think that with the disruption that you're seeing, that labels will try to do the same thing? try and implement some sort of NFT clause in contracts? Because I think we're already starting to see that. How can new artists either avoid that or do their own thing independently?
Now, it's a great question. So the answer to that is obviously a yes, right? And what you want to do is, I think, protect yourself, because what you don't want to do is have, there's nothing wrong with signing the labels. Labels are necessary things sometimes, but what you don't want to do is give away all of your intellectual property and rights. And so, yes, labels will promise you to do all this and say, we're going to do all the marketing for you. But I think people are starting to get wise to that game. Labels are going to try to do, I think, what Meta has done, right? What Meta or Facebook's now saying, oh, we're only going to take 50% of your money, which is kind of crazy when you look at the markets that's actually out there. So I would just tell artists just to know the real power you have. You don't have to, when you see a label and things are in front of you and they're throwing dollars at you, know that if they're throwing dollars at you, you're worth at least 10 times more than that. Don't give away all of your intellectual property. Make sure you keep that, because you need this way as additional monetization opportunities. You give that away, you're giving away like all your future equity. You should not give that away, and you don't have to give that away, and you shouldn't leverage that away.
Right, because you can get your residual. Absolutely. And keep those long. Absolutely. So, and Champ,
I wanted to already control a lot of your, like, even if they give you royalties and things like that, but if you give away your NFTs, then you're giving away even your ability for you to be able to do special things and connect with your fans. You're starting giving away the ability to even do performances. So it's like you're giving way too much leverage. I don't think that should be in contracts, but we can't expect companies not to do what companies are going to do. This puts more power in the artist's hands. I just want artists to realize it right now and move on this opportunity and don't wait.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And Champ, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned earlier about the cannabis project, or crypto and cannabis. Do you see a lot of similarities there as far as being able to move forward? And also, can NFTs help solve that issue?
I think NFTs can help all businesses as far as just bringing scarcity to the market and making people want to buy. The reason why we see, the record sales going down and movie tickets businesses going down, because everything is at home, everything is on your monitor. So I feel like if you make it a cool, engaging way like NFTs are, you'll see more, dollars going into whatever it is you're doing. And for me, I love smoking weed, and my family is, cannabis friendly. So it was a no-brainer for me to take the IP of my Bored Ape and put it into a cannabis brand like Cookies and Backpack Boys. And, now that's its own stream of revenue coming in on top of the value of my NFT going up from everybody seeing it, everybody holding it and taking pictures. So I just feel like all walks of life going to need this business model of what NFTs are. And you got to remember, this shit always been going on. Like when Jordans drop, that's equivalent to an NFT because it's only a scarce amount. And that's why you see the resale of a $200 pair of Jordans going for $2,000, because the value is there, because it's being, bought out that quick, and it's a limited amount of units, similar to NFTs.
Back when I started about 10 years ago, Black people were the least likely to have crypto, and recent polls were actually the most likely to have crypto. Do you think that hip hop culture has been a big part of that, of pushing it out to the Black community?
I know that for a fact. We all know that. The culture influenced everything. I mean, Rob, you could speak on that.
Yeah, look, it's not only is it about Black people, the culture, hip hop is everything. It's the global music brand. So yes, it's pushed Black folks into it, but it's also pushed the greater community into this. Like, this is the reason why Snoop Dogg's having a lot of success in this space. The Baby is, other people are, because we do influence the culture. That's everyone's culture. My hope is that we understand our power and begin to actually work more together to build on this, because we definitely influence the culture. And I also would like to see, part of the reason why we're tied in with the Badass Bears Project, if I could quickly, is that Jim's uncle, he talked about him earlier. Jim's uncle spent a lot of time in prison. And unfortunately, too many of us have spent a lot of time in prison in terms of collectively as a community. And what part of the utility of our project will be to actually help returning citizens get opportunities, particularly those who are creators like his uncle, who have been shut out, and make sure that they understand how to use this opportunity that's Web3, but also making sure that they can integrate into society. It's a lot. I spent a lot of time doing that work, And why I believe in this space is it has the potential to, of course, make a lot of money, but also use that money to have impact to really push back on these unjust systems like our criminal justice system. So that's also part of what attracted me to work with Jim Jones on this Badass Bears project, and for us to use all of this opportunity that's going on in Web3 to make sure we're pushing for change too. It's also a very fun project, but we can have fun and still make impact.